Saigon nightlife moves fast, but most tourists only ever see one tiny piece of it. The neon still burns bright, but behind the loud streets, rooftop bars, hidden alleys, and late-night crowds, the city has changed. The hotspots shifted, the atmosphere evolved. Some places exploded in popularity, others quietly disappeared. And if your entire idea of Ho Chi Minh City nightlife starts and ends with Bui Vien, you're missing the real map of Saigon after dark. Tonight, we're breaking down the major nightlife zones of Ho Chi Minh City, from the chaos of Bui Vien to the hidden energy of Pasteur's back alleys, to the maze-like streets of Japantown that many first-timers walk straight past without ever understanding what's inside. This isn't a recycled walking tour. This is a real-world guide built from street-level experience, current observations, traveler mistakes, safety awareness, and the details most videos completely skip. And to make things easier, every major location in this video is pinned on a custom Google map linked below, so you can explore smarter, avoid wasting nights, and understand which part of Saigon actually fits your style. So before you step into the night, let's break down how Saigon nightlife really works. Saigon nightlife confuses a lot of first-time visitors for one simple reason. They think it's all happening in one street. That's the mistake. Ho Chi Minh City nightlife is spread across the city in layers, and every area attracts a different type of crowd, different energy, and completely different expectations. Most tourists only see Bui Vien, cheap beers, loud music, backpackers, neon chaos. But while that's happening, locals are eating late dinners across the city. Office workers are moving into hidden bars, expats are filling rooftops, and wealthy Vietnamese nightlife crowds are arriving in places many travelers never even notice. That's how Saigon really works after dark. Different zones, different crowds, different experiences. Some places are built for chaos, some for cocktails and conversations. Some don't even wake up until after midnight, and District 1 acts like the crossroads connecting all of it. That's why two people can spend the same night in Saigon and leave with completely different opinions of the city. So in this guide, we're breaking down the major nightlife zones of Ho Chi Minh City, who they're for, what they feel like, and which one actually matches your style. And if this kind of real local breakdown helps, hit like so YouTube pushes the video to more travelers looking for honest information about Vietnam nightlife. Now, let's start with the place almost every first-timer ends up in first. Bui Vien is the obvious starting point. Also known as Backpacker Street, this short strip is the loudest, easiest, most chaotic entry point into Saigon nightlife. Neon bars, budget hostels, street beer, food stalls, coffee shops, loud clubs, people from everywhere packed into one moving street. It's backpackers, expats, tourists, locals, street performers, promoters, dancers, and late-night wanderers all mixing together in the middle of District 1. That's why Bui Vien feels like the heartbeat of Saigon nightlife. But it's also why you need to understand what you're walking into. Some bars feel like mini clubs with EDM blasting into the street. Others are just plastic chairs, cold beer, and hours of people watching while the city moves around you. And then you have the side alleys. This is where Bui Vien becomes less obvious. Smaller lounges, quieter drinking spots, hidden venues operating more on atmosphere and social awareness than giant neon signs. This side of Bui Vien runs more on reading the room than following clear rules. And the deeper into the night the street goes, the stranger the atmosphere becomes. Massage parlors are another thing to be careful with here. Some spots around Bui Vien are known more for upselling than relaxing. If you want something more professional and consistent, other areas of Saigon usually make more sense. Then there are the street fixers. You'll see them near corners, scooters, and side entrances, sometimes offering bars, rooms, massage, or special experiences to passing tourists. This is where your common sense needs to be louder than the music. If someone promises too much too fast for too cheap, slow down. Bui Vien can be an amazing first night in Saigon, but it can also become expensive, confusing, or uncomfortable if you follow every voice calling you from the sidewalk. So here's the simple, lazy nomad rule. Enjoy the chaos. Watch the crowd. Keep your wallet secure. Check prices before ordering. Don't follow random fixers into places you haven't seen. And if something feels off, move on. Because Bui Vien is not the whole Saigon nightlife map. It's the loud front door. Important, fun, and absolutely worth experiencing, but still only the surface. We'll make dedicated deep dives on Bui Vien, nightlife scams, hidden bars, and the different types of venues here very soon. So subscribe if you want those full breakdowns later. But now, let's leave the loudest street behind and head toward a side of Saigon many first-timers walk straight past. Moving away from the chaos of Bui Vien, just a few minutes from Bitexco Tower and Nguyen Hue Walking Street, the atmosphere changes completely. Pasteur Street and its surrounding alleys don't scream for attention. From the outside, many places look almost quiet. A glowing neon sign, a narrow entrance, maybe a few hostesses outside, or sometimes nobody at all. Easy to walk past, but inside, it's a completely different world. This area is known for smaller hostess lounges and hidden late-night bars, built more around atmosphere than chaos. Low lighting, soft music, whiskey glasses on tables, quiet conversations. A much slower, more controlled energy compared to Bui Vien. But don't underestimate it. Those who know, know. And that's what surprises many first-time visitors. Because unlike the loud tourist streets, Pasteur nightlife feels more hidden, more local, and honestly, harder to understand if you don't know the vibe yet. Nothing here is built for speed. You sit down, observe the room, relax, talk, let the atmosphere build naturally. And the people coming here are different too. You'll see office workers after late dinners, expats escaping tourist crowds, regular local customers, and travelers looking for something calmer than backpacker street chaos. That's why some people end up loving this area, while others find it too quiet or too confusing. It really depends what kind of nightlife experience you're looking for. And honestly, if you rush through Pasteur trying to force the night too quickly, you're probably already doing it wrong. I've walked these alleys more times than I can count, sat in these bars more nights than I should admit, and one thing never changes. Pasteur constantly evolves. Venues change, crowds change, concepts change, and places that were great 6 months ago may feel completely different today. That's why updated recommendations, hidden spots, nightlife maps, and warnings are kept inside the Lazy Nomad VIP Telegram linked below. But now, let's move into one of the most unique and misunderstood nightlife zones in all of Saigon. And then, there's Japantown. Hidden in the heart of District 1, this is probably the most unique and most misunderstood nightlife area in Saigon. The first time you walk through these alleys at night, it barely feels like Vietnam anymore. Small glowing signs, narrow staircases, quiet streets that from the outside almost look empty. Easy to underestimate, but that's the trick with Japantown. A building that looks dead from the street can be completely alive upstairs. And compared to Bui Vien, the energy here is completely different. Less chaos, less noise, less backpacker energy. Everything feels more controlled, more discreet, and usually far more expensive. And honestly, after years in Saigon, this is still one of the areas I keep coming back to the most. Not because it's the wildest, not because it's the cheapest, but because nowhere else in the city feels quite like this after dark. Japantown is built around hidden cocktail bars, karaoke venues, Japanese-style lounges, late-night restaurants, and small hostess bars tucked into buildings most tourists would walk straight past. Then you step inside, and the atmosphere changes immediately. Soft lighting, private conversations, whiskey bottles behind counters, staff greeting regular customers by name. This isn't the kind of nightlife area people rush through, and that's exactly why many first-timers misunderstand it. The people coming here are different too. You'll see Japanese and Korean expats, business crowds after dinner, longtime Saigon regulars, and travelers looking for something more polished than tourist street chaos. And yes, prices here can climb fast if you're not paying attention. So my advice in Japantown is simple. Slow down. Observe first. Don't try to impress anyone. And don't assume every glowing staircase leads to the same kind of place. Some venues here are genuinely excellent. Others survive mostly on reputation and location. And honestly, after all these years in Saigon, this is still one of the few places I keep coming back to. Not every night, not every bar, but certain spots here still have an atmosphere that's difficult to explain unless you experience it yourself. And trust me, what you're seeing here is still only the surface of Japantown. A full deep dive guide focused entirely on this area is coming very soon, so subscribe now if you don't want to miss that one. And honestly, this is the part many people get wrong about Saigon nightlife. They try one area, one street, one random night, and think they've understood the whole city. But every zone here attracts different people and completely different energy. That's why after all these years, I still keep coming back to all of them for different reasons. Sometimes you want chaos, sometimes you want atmosphere, sometimes you just want to sit somewhere hidden and watch the night slowly unfold. So let's break it down simply. If you want the classic Saigon nightlife experience, loud music, backpackers, cheap drinks, and energy everywhere, Bui Vien is probably where you start. If you prefer slower atmosphere, hidden bars, and a more subtle vibe, Pasteur and the smaller alleys around District 1 will probably fit you much better. And if you like cocktail bars, polished venues, and Japanese-inspired nightlife that feels more discreet and upscale, Japantown is in a completely different category. And that's why there's no single best nightlife area in Saigon. It really depends on who you are, what atmosphere you enjoy, and how you like to experience a city after dark. And there you have it. A first look at how Saigon nightlife really works. From the chaos of Bui Vien, to the hidden atmosphere of Pasteur Street, to the neon alleys of Japantown. Different crowds, different energy, completely different nights. And honestly, that's what makes Saigon so interesting after dark. No matter if you're here to party, explore, people watch, or just understand the city beyond the usual tourist surface, hopefully now you have a much better idea where to start and what mistakes to avoid. If this guide helped you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we're only scratching the surface here. There are full deep dives coming on Bui Vien, Japantown, nightlife scams, hidden bars, rooftop scenes, and a lot more insider guides across Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And for those who want to go deeper than public YouTube content, the Lazy Nomad VIP Telegram is where we share updated nightlife maps, hidden spots, behind-the-scenes observations, warnings, travel intel, and conversations with people exploring these cities in real time. It's less about hype and more about understanding how these places actually work. If that sounds like your kind of thing, you'll find the links below. Thanks for tagging along with Lazy Nomad. Until our paths cross again in the neon-lit streets of Southeast Asia, keep exploring, but always keep it lazy. Good night, and see you on the next adventure.